No, your eyes aren't deceiving you. I decided to throw in a little extra video for y'all this week. No extra charge. Mainly because there's something I want to talk to you about. But first, let me show you something. Not even fully dark yet, and all the chickens are already up in the coop. They've had a rough day, I guess. Sitting in the sun, digging up bugs. What do you think, Tom? And there's Grumpy laying down on the floor because he can't get up there. Or she. So let's get these eggs and then we'll go back up to the barn and we'll have a little conversation I'm wanting to have with you. Got 4 eggs just in that bucket. And one egg there, which I see some yellow. It might be busted. We'll see here. Yeah, it's busted. I can see it crack in it there. We'll throw that out for them to peck at tomorrow. Let's go up to the barn and have a little talk. Okay, so I don't know how many of you actually watch or listen to the U.S. Farm Report. I'm not going to lie and say that I listen or watch it all the time, but I will occasionally turn it on as a podcast on the way to work just because, well, it's a good wealth of information. Sometimes it's just nice stuff just to listen to occasionally. And I decided to do that today on the way to work, and the main subject of the day was fertilizer prices. And apparently, over the last week or so, fertilizer prices have went up a little over 70%. And it's all has to do with the war that's going on between the U.S., Iran, and Israel. And I'm not going to get into the politics of that. That's not what this show is about. There's other places to discuss the politics of the war and stuff that's going on, but it's not here. But what's going on is with the Strait of Hormuz, or however you call that, where they can't get the nitrogen through. And, of course, that's a big component with chemical fertilizer, which I will say, I've lived here for 10 years, and the last 7 of those years we haven't used any chemical fertilizer whatsoever. A lot of it has to do with, I don't like how it does the how it takes the nutrients stuff out of the ground, but that's a subject for a whole other video. But there's a lot of people that do depend on it, and with that being said, there's some people that use it, mainly out of convenience and stuff because they don't have to dig up the horse manure or whatever they decide to use. And, and some people use it because they just been brainwashed over the years. We never started using this stuff until after World War II. And there's other reasons for that. And this isn't the video to discuss that. That'd be a video for something for another video. But it's mainly, it's been used for a matter of convenience. And there are some places where it is used because, well, it's probably, even though it's very harmful for the soil, it's beneficial for people who farm commercially, like people who farm thousands of acres of corn and wheat and stuff like that. Them people will use it because, well, it's all around it's easier. It's kind of hard to get hold of that much natural material. So what we're going to expect is this fall, we're probably going to start seeing food prices. You think food prices are high now. This fall, I would expect to see food prices go even higher over this. And it affects the farmers, for one, because they got to put out more money for their crops. And farmers are already hurting. They don't make much money. There was another report here a while back where there was actually a surplus of corn this past time around. I don't know. Now, I said corn prices went up a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough to cover what the difference in this fertilizer and stuff is going to be. So farmers are already going to be taking a hit on that. And it's just going to cost an inconvenience all around, right all the way down to the consumer because, like I said, everybody's going to be hit on this. And what's happening is, one of the things they said is it takes roughly about 2 months to get the nitrogen from where it's coming from to the United States and get it set up to where it can be used in the fields. So that's going to be putting it right around the 1st of May, which is going to be prime planting season for a lot of people. So not only is it going to be higher, but we may even be looking at another shortage of fertilizer, which, if you guys remember, here a couple years ago, we was dealing with that, along with the war that was caused between Russia and Ukraine. And, it caused the fertilizer to go up, and I don't know if it's even really come down. Like I said, I don't buy chemical fertilizer. I don't have a need for it. I have other methods to keep my soil where it needs to be. But this is going to be detrimental for a lot of people, and it's going to. I got a feeling. We guys, we better be storing up just a little bit, and it's hard to tell what's going to happen here. And for those of you who are small homesteaders and stuff, you guys use chemical fertilizer. There are other means of fertilizing your plants, and I understand those of you, some of you probably just don't have the means to use those methods. Maybe you live in a small urban area and you don't have the ability you don't have the access to the manure or other forms of natural fertilizer and stuff. I get that, but this is going to be, it's kind of an interesting situation, I think. But one of the things I can't figure out is why we've gotten ourselves to a point that we rely so much on other countries and stuff to supply us with what we are using. I know right here in West Virginia, I don't know how many of you are watching this are from West Virginia or know much about the northeastern part of the state, but up in the northeastern part of the state, there is a lot of poultry farms, commercial-sized poultry farms. And you're asking yourself, what does this have to do about the cost of fertilizer? Well, let me explain something to you. Nitrogen's what they're needing. Do you know what the high concentration form of chemical is in chicken manure? Chicken manure has a lot of nitrogen in it. That's one of the reasons why you can't put fresh chicken manure right around a tomato plant or something in the garden. You gotta let them cook for a while. You gotta let them sit outside and let it ferment and stuff over time, so that the nitrogen level kind of goes down a little bit, so don't burn up your crops. Well, with the farmers and stuff already hurting, why can't we find a way to let the farmers sell the chicken manure to these fertilizing manufacturers, where they can somehow get a hold of the nitrogen and stuff that's in the chicken manure and use that in the fertilizer? And you don't have the chemical reactions and stuff that you're having out of this man-made stuff that's being sent here. And you're helping the farmers, again, who are generally already hurting, to make a little bit more money and maybe actually see a decent return on their investment for a change. We got enough resources in this country that we can be self-sufficient. And yet we choose to let other people dictate what we have, what we receive in this country. And I think we ought to be ashamed of ourselves for allowing this stuff to happen. And a lot of people will use the reaction, well, it's cheaper to let other countries do it. Well, let's change something about that. Let's make it where it's better and cheaper to actually produce it here. That way the people in this country can actually get ahead for a change. You know, I think it's sad that an American farmer who works, I don't know how many hours a lot of these farmers work on their farms, but, and then, you know, say they work 40, 50 hours a week, and then they still got to work another 40, 50 hours and another job to boot because they don't make enough money feeding us in order to feed themselves. That's just not right. So, yeah, that's just about, like I said, I didn't mean for this to be a rant, but I was just wanting to bring something to y'all's attention about the cost of fertilizer affects us more than just making things higher for the farmer. But it's going to boil down right down to your own pockets, probably later this fall. But the thing about it is, it's going to affect us. So, but they also said if they can manage to get the straits open, the cost of fertilizer might start going down a little bit. And I hope that happens. But I'm not going to hold my breath on it. So, guys, button up. It's about to get rough.